Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. I have a product that I'm reviewing today, which is Cracked Polish's Neutralizer. First, this video is not sponsored, anything like that. I bought this with my own money and I'm talking about it today because it's a product that I will say I definitely have some thoughts on it, you know, good and I don't want to say bad, but things to consider before buying this as a product. It is something that I've been getting some good use out of. And so I want to kind of walk you all through that and give you some insights into the benefits I found with it, and so that if you have been looking at this on Crack's website and maybe on the fence about it, hopefully this video can help you to determine whether you want to try it or not. Once I'm over at my nail desk, I'll go through all the product details, like the pricing, the product description, things like that. But I do want to start by giving you all an overview of how I'm planning to structure this. So this product, just in general, is designed to be like a base coat that it's light purple so that it can, you know, color theory with purple being across the color wheel from yellow. Purple cancels out yellow. So what it's designed to do is that if you are someone who experiences staining on your nails, in particular like yellow staining, the idea, you put neutralizer on top of that, and then instead of your nails having like a yellow colored base upon which you would then put other colors, and you know, yellow stained nails could then affect the overall appearance of the resulting color, whatever you put on it. This gives you a more neutral base. It's very similar to like if you are someone who's ever seen like purple shampoo, or if you've ever used that, using purple shampoo over blonde hair will help to remove, or not remove, but it'll help to balance out that yellowness and give you a more neutral look. So also a few months ago, I did a video about using color theory with nail polish. So if you happen to miss that, no worries. I'll put a link to it in the description so you can check that out. The one thing I want to do with reviewing this today is going to be to take a look at how well does this product perform as well a neutralizer, as what it's being called. And I'm going to use a couple of different jelly polishes to help test that out. But then another thing that I've been using this for, and for me, actually, I think thinking about the products or thinking about the polishes that I've most often been using with neutralizer, I think I've been more commonly using it as a blurring base coat, which again, I'm going to read out the full product description in a bit. I don't remember if blurring base capabilities were one of the things that were specifically advertised for this, but I'm someone who does not really like seeing a lot of visible nail line. So whenever possible, I'd like to find ways to kind of work around that. And I've been getting some good use out of this. I mean, it's like, I've used up maybe a third of it since I bought this a few weeks ago. So yeah, there's a lot that I can say about this. So let's go ahead and get over to the nail desk. Before we begin, I want to start by showing you what is on my nails today. And also, you're seeing that this is the first time I've ever shown my nails without any polish on them, and so this is why we're testing this out today. So yeah, here's a close-up of what I've got going on here. Some of you who frequently watch videos on my channel, first of all, hi, thank you. You may be wondering, Olivia, weren't you just wearing dark vampy red nail polish earlier this week? Yes, but this is a different one. You know, really, I was just like, whenever I get to a point where I'm just like, I don't know what I want to wear, if I need a palette cleanser, dark vampy red is what I go to. And this is one that I haven't worn in a while. So I started with one coat of a black cream polish, Bee's Knees Lacquer's Void. Then the main polish here is ILMP's Sabrina. This is one, I would say, admittedly, when I bought it, I was expecting it to be more red leaning, depending on the lighting, depending on how you wear it, I guess. Like when I wear it on its own, for sure, without putting it over black, it has a tendency to lean more like berry, dark berry than red. So what I did was I started with a coat of the black cream polish Void, then did 2 coats of Sabrina, and then in order to have more red come through, I put on a coat of a red glitter topper that I mixed up myself. I think when I made this, I also put in just a hint of like gold as well for some reason. I'm not mad at it, but this, to be clear, is just like glitter, as opposed to on the left, which is reflective glitter. I decided that I wanted to do just regular glitter instead of reflective for this manicure because I didn't necessarily want to see silver sparks that you get with reflective glitter. And so as I wiggle my finger here, as you see that extra kind of like dancey red glitter that's on top, that was what I added in there. So pro tip, if any of you also, oh, see it, you see how it looks like more berry like in this lighting? That's what I mean. You know, it's a beautiful polish, but sometimes I kind of just have to work with it in a different way. But the tip I was going to give real quick before we move on is if you ever want to have a quick way to kind of shift your overall polish look in an easy way, and you, like me, are also into polish making, having something like this, like I just mix up some red glitter for red polishes. Sometimes I have a teal glitter topper for times where I want it to, I think, like lean a certain way. Anyway, so that's what's on my nails today. So let's get into Neutralizer. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to start by giving an overview of the product. So currently on the Cracked Polish website, this is available for $8 for a 15 milliliter bottle. And I just noticed that they also do have refills. The refill is, let's see, I need to pull that up on a different page. It is $32 for a 118 milliliter or 4 fluid ounce bottle. So if this is a product that you end up liking a lot, then almost certainly the refill bottle is going to be at a more affordable like price per milliliter. Okay, so the most important part that I want to read from the Cracked website about Neutralizer, it says, Neutralizer is meant to be worn underneath polish as a base coat that minimizes nail staining showing through your mani. A single coat may show brushstrokes. Use multiple coats if you're wearing it solo, or a single coat if using it as a base. And it says, pro tip, apply by floating a loaded brush filled with Neutralizer onto the nail. Okay, so for our first test here, I'm gonna start with a blue jelly. This is Blank Beauty's Blueberry Jam, and I've got these 2 fingers here. Sorry. Sometimes when I'm like, okay, like sometimes when I get into like demonstration mode, I kind of have to remind myself, okay, Olivia, you don't have to point out like every little thing. I'm like, I have fingers. So, okay, here we go. On my left finger, I have put on a base coat. This is a super clear base coat from Blank Beauty, anti-peel base coat. And okay, so to be clear, it's not a peel off base coat. It's a base coat that's intended to prevent peeling. And then on my middle finger, I have no base coat or anything like that. So the way I'm going to start is by putting the Neutralizer on my middle finger. This is, I think, also the first time I've maybe have swatched a finger on camera. So I will say, I try not, you know how like let's just say I have a cleanup brush for a reason. Okay, we'll say that. All right, here we go. Now, as I'm putting this on, I'll say that one of the drawbacks of this product is that, as you can see, it does tend to go on kind of streaky. Now, this is something that you could potentially build up to wear just on its own, but is almost like, I would say it's like a crelly finish. I don't do that myself, but that is something that you could do. For my purposes, and because I very rarely wear this under polishes that are so sheer that they would show all of this, I'm okay with this. But if there were something I would suggest for possible product improvement, it would be for this product to still have the same kind of like color payoff here, but in a formula that is less streaky. So if you're wondering like, okay, so what's the point of having a neutralizer? If we're just looking at these two fingers here, then just think about like, you know, even aside from the blue jelly that I'm about to put on here, think about the impact of what you've got here as the two different options as your starting point. So with the yellow stainage that I have on my ring finger here, that is something that is going to affect the outcome for whatever I put on top of it. Whereas now, what I've got on my middle finger on the right, this is more neutralized. It has like a more like neutral, slight pink leaning base to work from. So let's start with my ring finger. Again, this is a jelly from Blank Beauty, Blueberry Jam. And I've got to say, I think this kind of test was the first time that I realized the importance of like why neutralizers exist. So here we go. Okay. Just gonna put this on in one thin coat here. And you can't really see it a whole lot just yet. Well, maybe you can. If you take a look more so at the bottom of my nail bed here, that to me looks like the blue of the polish of Blueberry Jam. But then as we go more up to the upper 2/3 of the nail, it's looking kind of green, because you know, yellow plus blue equals green. So if it's the case that you are somebody who has yellow stained nails, but you're wanting to wear like a blue jelly polish, this, you know, even if you, and I will add some more coats to build this up to show you how that works, but even if you were to build this up, you're still not changing the fact that you're building up over a yellow base. So by comparison, let's see how this looks over neutralizer. Okay, a few things here. So, sorry, I need to clean up my nails. So, one thing I would say as I'm cleaning this up is that you can hopefully see the difference already in that. Whereas on the left, we've got some it looks kind of swampy green with over the yellow nail, but on the right, it looks, you know, it's a very even blue color all throughout. However, you can also probably see what I mean though about the streakiness of the neutralizer formula. So that is, again, something to keep in mind. And I think that, you know, a lot of it will come down to how you are personally intending to use this kind of product. Like if you're someone who prefers to wear jellies in just a single coat like this, then, you know, this might be a deal breaker for you, because you're like, wait, I don't want it to look like that underneath. But let's see what happens if we build this up in 2 coats. So here is the second coat. So that's how we're looking on the left here with that. Still looking kind of swampy, you know. I think this is a fantastic jelly polish, but it really is something where you're like, oh, if you have stained nails, this is, you kind of have to consider the impact of the colors that you put on top of it. Okay, let's go with second coat over neutralizer. Again, I'm doing these in very thin coats. Y'all know me, I'm someone who, I'll be the first one to admit that I have a tendency to be heavy-handed at times when it comes to polish, depending on the polish, of course, or the supply that I'm using. But in this case, I am just sticking with one coat, like one brush dip as I'm doing these. So yeah, here's what we've got so far with 2 coats of this. Looking at neutralizer, I do think that we are starting to move a little bit away from that streakiness that's underneath, but it still is present there. As far as neutralizing the yellow though, I'm not seeing any traces of green here, so that's good. Let's do one more for blue. Okay. Yeah, so even with 3 coats of this blue over just plain nail with clear base coat, you still, unless you were kind of trying to go for a gradient, I mean, hey, that's an option, but if anything, I think it's actually looking more green now than it was before in some ways. All right. And finally, let's put the 3rd coat over neutralizer. Okay, thin coats here. Okay, so I think that as far as color correction, color neutralizing, neutralizer is doing a fantastic job here. However, even after putting 3 coats of a jelly on here, I'm still seeing that streakiness underneath. And this is what's, leading into, I think, what I mentioned in the intro about why I personally have been getting more use out of neutralizer as a blurring base coat, which we're gonna have some testing for that later on. But yeah, so I am going to clean these 2 nails off, and then we're gonna come back and test this out with a red jelly. Okay, we're back to regular base coat on the ring finger and completely bare nail on the right. Let's, for this test, we're gonna use a red jelly polish. This is from Starly called Flame Jelly. And as I'm putting on neutralizer again, I'll explain why. So our first test was about blue plus yellow gave us green. And so I'm thinking that red plus yellow equals orange. It's like, go me, I know colors. Yeah, so this is how it looks if I just, and I always like put some on the tip as well, because I know my tips can kind of like peek through. The way that I'm going to approach this second test is actually going to be different in that I'm going to show you all the way that I personally use neutralizer. So you see how there's like some patchiness there and it's not super even. The way I use it is that once this is fully dried down, I will go in and put on a second coat of it. So it's been a couple minutes actually, because I went off camera for a bit to clean up my nails and then I got distracted by something else. So let me go ahead and put on that second coat now. And I think when I do this, I try to be strategic and like fill in the gaps there. So Yeah, so this is more of what you get when you put it on a second coat of it, which I think looks a lot better than just one coat. And yeah, looking again at the instructions from Cracked, it says a single coat may show brushstrokes. Agreed. It says use multiple coats if you're wearing it solo, or a single coat if using it as a base. I would argue that even using it as a base, I would recommend multiple coats of it, but that's just me. Okay, so now let's put Flame Jelly on my ring finger. Again, I'm gonna try to do just thin coats here. Now, Flame Jelly is more pigmented than the blueberry jam blue jelly was. So this is what we've got here. In this case, I'm not seeing, it doesn't come through as like, ooh, that's orange, but you know, where the staining is more prominent at the top, it does look more saturated there. So in this case, I think with me having 2 coats of neutralizer, apparently also I'm using my cleanup brush as a pointer, so we're just going with it. This I think is going to be a good exercise for me to show you actually transitioning a bit into how I use it as a blurring base. And this is what we've got so far with 1 coat on each. I really think that using 2 coats of this for a base is absolutely what I would recommend. At this point, I really, even though there was still maybe a little bit of brush strokiness that I could see when I just had neutralizer built up in 2 coats, looking at it now with a jelly on top of it, I'm not seeing that at all. So let's go in for a second coat over my ring finger. So here's how it looks with 2 coats on the left, 1 coat on the right. Flame jelly is a really interesting jelly to work with because when you only have it in like 1 coat, like we've got here on the middle finger so far, it does tend to read more pink. But then once you, and that is a gorgeous pink. Oh, okay. But then as you build it up in additional coats, that is when you start to shift away from the pink and see more of it as a red. So 2 coats on each of these. And yeah, by the second coat, I'm not seeing any streakiness underneath this whatsoever. This is just, and I promise you, like if I did not have neutralizer on this nail, it would look exactly like that. That's why I chose these 2 fingers, by the way, because they are, for a couple reasons, to give you all some insight into how I plan these videos. I initially thought use my index finger and my thumb because my thumb has a longer free edge, but I figured these 2 both have somewhat of a free edge, but they're also closer to each other in length so that I wouldn't have to, like, you know, it's kind of far away. So here you can see them more closely together. So yeah, that's why we've got that. And also my nails on my right hand are currently much longer than the ones on my left. But y'all, if you see how much I'm struggling, like using my dominant hand, y'all do not want to see what it looks like when I put on polish with my left hand. Okay, so we're going in for the 3rd and final coat of this jelly. Oh, this is such a beautiful, like candy apple red here. And then 1 final coat of Flame Jelly over neutralizer. Yeah, I think that this looks fantastic on the right. It just looks so glossy, so squishy. I mean, a lot of it has to do with like the formula of Starly's jellies, which I highly recommend. I mean, the fact that it is this glossy already without me even having put top coat on yet, y'all, like, what is that? Oh, that is, I love this color. Why have I not worn flame jelly in a while? Okay, I need to fix that. Anyway, so I know we started off by talking about like the neutralizing capabilities of this one with jellies. We didn't really see a whole lot of orange over here. That's okay. But hopefully, once again, you all are seeing what I mean about the blurring base coat capabilities of this. And yeah, I do recommend using 2 coats of this to neutralize. So let's go on to the next polish. For our third test in this review, I wanted to really push neutralizer to the limit and challenge it by putting it up against the most, what I think at least, is probably the most sheer polish that I have in my collection. Now we're gonna talk more about how I've been using this as a blurring base coat, which again, just to clarify, is not listed on the website as part of the advertised benefits of it. I'm saying this more as like, hey, I bought it for the neutralizing abilities, but I really think it's good as a blurring base, so that's what I want to show y'all too. Okay, so here we have, you know, I probably should have started by asking, like, take a minute to think, which brand do you think I'm gonna pull out a polish from? And y'all probably would have been like, Bee's Knees. And you know, y'all know I love Bee's Knees, but like, this is so sheer. This is an unreleased prototype. So it has no name, but it is very sheer. So we're gonna put that to the side. Let's go ahead and start by putting on some neutralizer again. And I think for this test and the final one that I'm doing after this, I'm gonna do 2 coats like I did for the last one. I think I've pretty much established the drawback of the streakiness of this, so I don't need to go into hard on that. But yeah, let's I'm gonna let this dry. That, you know what, so that is another thing. So if you're noticing that I'm spending a lot of time like on the tips, part of why it kind of tends to pool around here is because of the formula being in a way where it like can be somewhat runny. It like when you don't necessarily want it to be runny. So like I'm just trying to get some coverage on the tips of my nails because and you see how like even with all that manipulating that I was doing, it still is like a little sliver of stainage up there. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm hoping that the formula will improve over time so that it's just a little bit thicker. So y'all ready for this? Like I said, this is one of the most sheer polishes in my collection. And I can't say because it was an unreleased prototype, I don't know if it's intended to be a topper or what, but here we go. Let's go on this journey together. Okay. Can y'all guess how much I've used this polish? I mean, just look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it's yeah, I did that. Let me put on some more neutralizer over here and we can talk about this. Yeah, like I remember as soon as I think this was at a time when I did like a mystery prototype order with Bee's Knees a while back, and when I got that one in the mail, I'm just like, oh, okay, maybe I'll use this as a topper. We'll see. Yeah, so painting the second coat of neutralizer, I feel does go on more smoothly. And I think like once there's like some neutralizer underneath, like as you know, once you have your first base of neutralizer, that does seem to be a more a better surface for the second coat of neutralizer to then latch onto. You know, in other words, I'm observing that it doesn't seem to go on as runny for the second coat as it does when you're just putting it onto a bare nail. Okay, so now that our neutralizer base has dried, let's go in and put on this bee's knees polish. You know, I'm actually really curious about this because I don't know what this is going to look like. I've never combined these two together. So what you're going to see will in fact be my, you know, first genuine reaction. I mean, just like that was too. The last time I wore this one over a nail, it was not as stained as it is now. So that's why I was just like, girl. Y'all, is this supposed to be a topper? Hold up. This, hold up, okay. Ooh. I mean, this reaction has less to do with neutralizer and more to do with this polish. But, you know, like I said, I kind of wanted to push it and use something that was the most sheer that I have. But okay, let's talk about this though. Let's say that in a world where I did not have any staining on my nails, what we're kind of trying to go for here is that like the very bottom pink that's on my ring finger here, neutralizer is trying to mimic that. And so assuming that I had no staining on my nails, this bee's knees polish is intended to go on very light, with just a hint of like sparkle in it. And I think that with as sheer as this bee's knees polish is, I am very impressed by how I'm not really picking up on a whole lot of streakiness in neutralizer. That is a feat, considering how sheer this polish is. Okay, let's do a second. I was supposed to say, let's do a second coat on here. And part of me in my mind was like, do I have to? Yes, for science, we're doing this. We're in this together. Here we go. Okay. All right. You know what, while I'm doing this is not at all part of this experiment, but I need to know what this is going to look like on over black, because I'm just going to do this off to the side while my nail is drying, so that I can, you know, so we can see what it looks like as a topper, because I do think a lot of bee's knees polishes that are more on the sheer side, they do tend to come alive more when you put them over a darker color. So once that this black polish is dry, we'll do this afterwards. Okay. And let's go in for a second coat over my middle finger now. And yeah. You know, we are starting to get a little bit more of that brown tint with, I think it said that this is a UP, unicorn pea. Yeah. Yes. Y'all, I felt like I was, you know, when you go to the optometrist and they're like, read the line that you can read. And I'm just like, we're going to be guessing because I cannot read that. Yeah. So this, it's actually, you know what? If I wanted to, this is not bad. It's like a nice neutral sheer look. I wasn't really feeling it on after just one coat of the bee's knees polish, but I think that if I were to wear this with neutralizer and I really just wanted a like, hey, a nice neutral colored nail that has a hint of sparkle on it, this actually, I feel, works very well with my skin tone. So I'm starting to feel really happy that I have this unreleased prototype in my collection. Yeah, okay. And as promised, let's put it over black just to see what this looks like. This is completely not at all part of this experiment, but in case any of y'all were curious. Okay. Okay. It's kind of got like an olive Prugley vibe to it, which is interesting because earlier, completely unrelated, I was like swatching out a couple things here to kind of tell myself that I do not need to buy the new Holo Taco collection that just dropped. I don't need to. These are some recreations or some combinations that I put together. And I actually think that this Bee's Knees unreleased prototype over black, that looks very close to, I don't know the names of the new Holo Taco ones offhand, but add some extra holo in there. That's why have I not been wearing this one? Oh, because it's so sheer. Anyway, y'all know me, I'm getting distracted. So, all right, I'm gonna clean these nails off. I don't think we need a third coat for this test. And I'm gonna come back with one final polish that we're gonna test this out with. So just popping back in real quick, I just finished filming the outro of the video, and I came back over to the desk and decided to put a gold holo topper over this using Cracked Polish. Is truly outrageous. And y'all, it looks even better. You know what it looks like? It looks like a pickle that's going to the club. For our final test, I want to see how neutralizer works as a blurring base coat over a flake polish. Now, with flake polishes, oftentimes what can happen is that, you know, they can take 2 to 3 coats to build up to a greater level of opacity. But even then, if you're someone like me who really does not like seeing a whole lot of visible nail line, it still might not be enough opacity for you. So what I'm gonna do is test this over KB Shimmer's I'll Be There. And let's start again with putting this over my finger. I'm gonna see if there's some way I can let's see what happens this time if I don't try to do the tip. You know, I'm always willing to try out other things, so maybe I've been applying it wrong. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do any tip stuff, not gonna do it. Okay, and while that first coat is drying, let's go ahead and put the first coat of I'll Be There on my ring finger. This is actually one of the first indie polishes I ever bought. I got this in 2024 at the Polish and Beauty Expo, and because of that, it always just feels like summer to me. Okay. So this is, I chose this for a reason, actually. Also because of the color in here. And, this is a very fascinating one to look at because in the bottle, you can see you've got blue, gold, flakes and everything. I think there might be some aqua ones in there as well. But the thing is, if you take a look up at where I've put it over the more stained part of my nail towards the top, at least to my eye, I'm definitely seeing more green coming through there compared to at the bottom. So while that is drying, let's put the second coat of neutralizer on. And this time I wonder, okay, I still do want to have the tip covered. Maybe, oh, okay. I'm learning. So maybe if I do the tip coverage on the second coat, that works better? We'll see. So far, so good. I'm gonna let this dry for a bit, and then we'll put I'll Be There in the first coat over neutralizer. Okay, this is pretty much dry, so let's go in for the first coat of I'll Be There over Neutralizer, which I have not tried out yet. As much as I really have, like, I was drawn to I'll Be There because of this, like this, you know, the color blend that's in there. Once I saw how kind of like green it appeared over my nails, I was like, So mostly when I've worn this, I think I've worn it over like, say, a matching light blue cream, but I'd be curious to see how this goes when I put it over Neutralizer. And hopefully you can already see the difference here. I mean, whereas on the left, we're getting a lot more of that yellow color that's coming through there. Yellow and green, actually. On the right, it is reading way more blue, which I think is more in line with the blue aspect of the polish. You know, I'm taking a look at this very critically just to make sure, like, did I in fact get flakes on the middle finger? Yeah, I did. Because, you know, I always want to be fair with this, but I think what's happening here on the left is that because the underlying color of my nail is yellow, more yellow here, that's what's coming through in this reading of the polish, as opposed to here where you're putting it over more of like a neutral pink surface, and it's like, oh, we've got a nice fun day at the beach going on here. So let's try this again, second coat over the ring finger. So in the second coat, I feel like we're definitely still getting more of that yellow appearance here. Let's see how this might appear in the second coat over Neutralizer. Like, I knew it was, I had a feeling it was gonna look different over Neutralizer. I just wasn't expecting it to be like this different, because I am not really picking up as much gold so far at all on the right side. Also, I'm so sorry if y'all are hearing thunderstorms in the background. I swear, like, every day this week, the weather during the day has been, you know, whatever it has been, usually nothing too bad. But then come nighttime, it's just like, we're gonna have thunderstorms, but boom. Now here, I think that in the second coat of I'll Be There, I am starting to get more of the gold flakes that are coming through here. The gold is reading super strong on the ring finger. And if I hold up the bottle of I'll Be There, like in between here, I think that, yeah, you know, it's tough because like where the light is hitting it, I feel like, you know, the light hits the bottle and that reflects well on the gold there. But I've got to say that to my eye, just kind of looking at the bottle, just, you know, not under light, and looking at my hands, not under harsh lighting, what I'm seeing on my middle finger with Neutralizer underneath more closely aligns with what is in the bottle, as opposed to what I'm getting on my ring finger, which is kind of like that, but like it's more golden, which, you know, now I can kind of understand why I haven't been wearing this polish as much, because like I do like the gold that's in here, but I've always been more drawn to like the blue flakes that are in there. So, and also I would say with this being a flake polish, it has built up incredibly well in 2 coats, and I'm definitely not seeing any kind of brush strokiness underneath from Neutralizer. So hopefully you all can see why I've been getting a lot of great use out of Neutralizer as a blurring base coat, and in particular from various flake polishes that I've been pairing it with. Like I mentioned, this is the first time I've worn it together with I'll Be There, but I've, you know, pretty much any other flake polish that I've been wearing, like a flaky bomb polish like this, I put Neutralizer under that, and it's just kind of like my eyes have been opening. I'm just like, oh, that's how it's supposed to look at my nails. Oh, you know. So I'll give my final thoughts. Let's go ahead and do that. So, in short, final thoughts. If you're looking for using this as a neutralizer, I do think that its neutralizing abilities are excellent. However, you do need to keep in mind that if you are looking to only use a single coat of this for your base, you're almost certainly going to have to deal with the streaks of it. If you're okay with building up neutralizer in 2 coats and then say putting like a blue jelly over it, that's going to be better. But even then, it still doesn't, I still think there's some room for improvement in making the formula more self-leveling in order to prevent that kind of streakiness that's there. Now, if you are looking to use it more so as a blurring base coat, in particular under very like flake heavy polishes, love it. Can very highly recommend it. I think that using this together with polishes like flakes that will cover up that streakiness, but still give you that kind of like better opacity that you're looking for. And also, like we saw with with Albie there, I still got a lot of great neutralizing benefits out of that. So yeah, I really hope that final, well, I was about to say final verdict. I am not Judge Judy, y'all. Okay. I hope that all of that makes sense as to my thoughts on neutralizer. I guess the last thing I'll say about this is that if you happen to be on the fence and you are someone who regularly shops from Cracked Polish and you maybe you're only like, you know, $8 away from meeting the free shipping threshold, then hey, this is $8, so add that into your cart and see if you like it or not. If any of you have tried out neutralizer, I would love to hear your experiences with it in the comments. In particular, if you have any application tips that seem to be working well for you. Like I said, I know I tend to be heavy-handed with my application. So I try not to do that this time. But even so, I do think that I learned that it might be worthwhile for me to not try to cover the tip until the second coat. You know, some of these things you just kind of learn through trial and error and also through knowledge sharing. So I really would love to hear from any of you who've tested this out. And also let me know what your results have been. You know, were you someone who was trying to, like, you were drawn to this because you need the neutralizing capabilities? And if so, what has that looked like for you? Or have you gotten some good blurring base benefit out of it as well? Last thing, if there are any other nail polish products that you all would love to see me review, please let me know. You all see how thorough I try to be in these videos, and I love using this channel as a way to help educate and inform, so that if you are looking for some insights and, you know, seeing how a product works from every possible angle, I've got you covered on that. So as always, thank y'all so much for being here on this channel and part of this community. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.